Hey there, I'm trying to do a Powtoons video and I'll try to make this as brief as I possibly can for you. So what you'll do is you'll go to Powtoons and log in. I use my Google login so I don't need to keep remembering a bunch of um, passwords. So as you go here, this is kind of what you see when you log in. So my suggestion when you start is to pick a template or a storyboard, any of these things that are already up here for you. So templates, you can customize templates, etc. I've used this one a couple times. Um, I really like this Mission Impossible one. I've used that like 3 times. I have just used this one recently. But again, you can customize this. If you don't like it, you can go to a different template. There's all sorts of different kinds. But again, I would suggest going with something that they have there. So what I have for you is I created a Powtoon for you. I will play some of it, but I wanted to be on the screen where I'm editing. So I picked a template that I had never used before. So this is the template, and then I started picking and choosing things that I wanted in there. So first thing is these light bulbs all had numbers in there, and I didn't want a number, so I just clicked on it and deleted it. So again, if you pick a template, you don't want something, you can delete it. This part here is part of the background, so you can change backgrounds if you want. On this one, so my next screen here, I did change the background. Here, go to the background, which is the checkerboard. There is a video background, which I will show you later, but here's just the generic ones down here. You can click on those and get that. So all of this stuff came on here, and then there is some words. Where are my words? Oh, right here. So here are the words, and then I just typed in what I said. So Powtoons does tell you to have a template or a script for yourself. I usually just do it as I'm going. Um, so also down here, what you'll see is this is the length of um, each slide. So I can scroll this along to see kind of how it goes. I can play it as I'm doing it. So here it's playing. I don't have any volume on, but you can see where they pop up. You can do a lot of things with the slider. You can add seconds or subtract seconds, reduce them. You can, again, it's going to add or subtract from where the slider is. So if you want to add in here, it'll put it in between here. If you want to move other things around, again, I'm going to show you how to do that in a little bit. On this second slide, or the second kind of set, choose a template. Again, I suggest starting from a template rather than starting from scratch. I did try it from scratch one time and it was kind of difficult. I think it was my third one and it was hard for me to do. So you can definitely start from scratch, but again, I suggest trying a template before you do other things. So be sure that any pictures that you have or objects you have are easy to access. You need to use JPEGs. I prefer to have my media on my desktop so I can easily pull it up. So here's a picture of my cheerleaders at one of the games this last year. And I had it on my desktop, and then it's easy to get to. So this is the media, and it, little bubble pops up when you do it. So click the media, click on my media, and then upload. So these are ones that I've already uploaded previously. So you can see here my cheerleaders here, and it's sideways here. So then you can crop it and you can turn it and do all the things that you want to do on this. But again, upload, you click this, and then you'll get an upload, and you can upload from these things. Again, I do prefer my desktop because I think it's a lot faster. Um, then I have text boxes here, and I am going to talk about this again, but some of them were in here, some of them I added. So I think this one was here, but in order to change them, you can click on this gearbox here, and you can swap it out with something else. You can blur it, you can change the color, you can flip it. A bunch of different things. So here's my gearbox. Again, here's color, effects, all this stuff. You can link it to something if you want. Um, and this one, the gearbox, this is pretty cool. So you can also do an A to B. So I don't use this a whole lot, but if I'll show you what happens when you use this. So if I go back and my arrow shows up, it will show up right there, and then it'll slide up to the top. I don't really like the slide a lot unless I really need it to go somewhere. So then if you don't want it, just click it off. Um, so there's that. Now, let's say I wanted to put, so these two are grouped together, and how I group any sort of objects together is on the slider bar, take the ones that are grouped together and slide it on top of each other. So now my picture and my words, my text, and my arrow are all going to show up at the same time. Again, this is, I'm just playing with this for you to see. Down here, adding objects and text. So again, you can either go to the text box, and there's lots of different, I usually just use these three up here, but there are other ones that you can use down here, and they're pretty cool. Design, you know, all these different things. So play around with it, see what you want to do. I usually don't get too fancy because I'm just trying to make a quick, short info video for my students. On this one, I just was adding characters, so your characters are here. If you don't see something that you really like, scroll down to the bottom. And I actually really like this top one, The Office, because I think this girl right here kind of looks like me with a ponytail. So that's what I have up there. And then when you click on the person, there's all sorts of different ones. So all of these people have the same. They can do hello, happy, all that stuff. Also, once you enter it, you can also click on she is moving, but you, whoa, I just moved her. You can click on the original. There we go. And go to the gearbox, and then there's other things to do. You can flip. So if I want her finger facing the other way, blah, 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 I can swap my pose. So maybe I didn't want the idea and I wanted to go to the happy. I could do that. And then I can also like, what was the other one I was going to say? Oh, the animation. So how many times, or do we want to play in loop? I just usually keep it playing in the loop as long as it's on the screen. And again, you'll see when it shows up and what happens. Um, Again, play around with all these things over here. There's lots of objects and other things that I just kind of added a few. The Pro and the Pro Plus are options that you can get that you have to pay for, and I have never paid for any of them, so I can't really tell you much about those. They're obviously nicer ones, but I have never used them. So, okay, I'm going to let this play for a little bit, or not, because Okay, so on the next screen, we are doing changing the length of objects and text. So what you want to do to change the length of an object in text, again, I've talked about adding or reducing seconds over here. But like this girl, I have this little running girl. So I'll put her on in a second. Here we go. And press play, and then she shows up, and then she's running. Okay, so what I do here is I can click on her, and then we have options. Of course, I have this poses for this one. I can change which direction she is going. I can change her animation, which I like to do in the loop. Um, and I can determine how long I want her to be running. So now she's running for a longer time. Now she's running for a shorter time. You can do whatever you want on that. You can also take it from the end. So she's going to run all the way to the end of this slide. So lots of things that you can try on that. Then on the next one, we are adding music or videos. So on the adding music or videos, go over here. So the sound is on this one. You can do a voiceover kind of like I'm doing, but without the full screen. So you can do a voiceover and add that. Or all the way down here are your any kind of music that you could want. Again, the pro ones are the ones you have to pay for, and I usually kind of like the bubbly ones, which is one of the ones that I picked right now. This in the background is a video, and that you get right. You can either get it under the media or the background, so I wanted it to be a background. So here is a background, and these are videos. So as you can see, there's a little play button. So like, you know, I just picked one and I slid it over, And then as it goes, it actually, the screen moves, which I think is super cool. This is a new feature and the first time I've ever used it. So I kind of enjoy doing it. So then I made another one. Again, I talked about where to get these videos. And then finally, um, on the last slide, I just talked about really there's lots of things that you can do with this. So shoot for the stars. If you have any questions, really feel free to email me. I really do enjoy doing these. They do take a while though, especially my first couple took me maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours. But now I have them for years to come. This one took me maybe a half an hour, 45 minutes, but just because I had to redo it twice. Other than that, ask questions. I learned a lot just by doing and playing with it. Thanks.